All right, back here on First Take. The Lions were kings of the NFC North jungle last season, landing on top of the toughest division in the NFL. They won the North with a 15-2 record, just one game better than the Vikings, and it looks like they'll be in another dogfight this year if they want to repeat as division champs. Let's take a look, though, at the odds to win the NFC North, courtesy of ESPN Bet Sportsbook. This is the tightest division based on the odds, as Detroit are favored to three-peat at plus 135, followed by the Packers at 260, plus 260, and the Vikings at plus 360, and Bears at plus 450. Sam, we're going to come to you. Remote, we don't want you to be left out of this conversation. Will the NFC North be the most competitive division again this season?
Oh, absolutely. And the reason why is a fewfold. Number one, you look at the Detroit Lions. They were the best team in the division last year. Well, they lost some talent, if you will. They lost their head coach. Well, their head coach, who was arguably the most sought-after coach in all of football, is now the head coach of the worst team. The offensive coordinator is now the head coach of the worst team in that division. And so now Ben Johnson, who's calling all these plays, drawing up plays for one of the best offenses, is now helping one of the worst teams in the division. The team you see on your screen, right? You're seeing the Detroit Lions. You're also seeing teams like the Minnesota Vikings, 14-team win season. I understand they have a new quarterback, but I think that Detroit's going to be dominant again. But Detroit, Minnesota, Chicago's getting better, right? First-round pick. The defense is better. The interior, the offensive line has improved. And, oh, by the way, the Green Bay Packers drafted a wide receiver in the first round, and they got another one in the third. And so I think it's the most deep division in all of the NFL. And even though Detroit lost some talent when it came to their offensive and defensive coordinators, I think that Ben Johnson's going to help improve the Chicago Bears.
So I would say this, when you do look at the NFC North, there are two things that stand out to me, and it's the question marks, right? When it comes to these teams, it's the Minnesota Vikings, and can J.J. McCarthy get it done? Now, some people may say yes, some people still have a question mark beside it. It's also Caleb Williams. Can Caleb Williams be better than he was in 2024? So those are the two question marks. The best division in football that I believe is the AFC West, because there's no question about the quarterbacking in that division. When you look at Geno Smith for the Raiders, and you look at Patrick Mahomes, who's the standard in the National Football League, Bo Nix being able to grasp a Sean Payton's offense in his rookie season and lead them to the playoffs. You look at Justin Herbert from an individual standpoint, he's been phenomenal. Just has to be better in the postseason when it comes to the playoffs. But then I also look at the AFC West and I say to myself, my gosh, you have 3 Super Bowl winning head coaches, and then the other one in Jim Harbaugh, who won a national championship at the University of Michigan and has been to a Super Bowl as the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. I believe every team in that division has gotten better, from the Denver Broncos to the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Raiders are going to be the worst team in that division, but the Raiders now have a quarterback. The Raiders now have a running back. They was last in rushing last season, and the culture, because Pete Carroll and what he has been able to do his entire career coaching, he is a culture changer. So that's why I'm going with the AFC West.
I'm going to go with the NFC North, and there's a very specific reason for it. I think that unlike the AFC West, anybody in the NFC North can win the division, which I don't think is true of the Raiders in the AFC West, for instance. I think it's probably this year a 2-horse race in the AFC West between the Chiefs, obviously, who should be the favorites, and then the Denver Broncos. With the NFC North, I'm seeing credibility everywhere. I'm seeing, I don't want to overstate this, but it looks like the Bears may have solved a problem for the first time in, 40 years? When you talk about the fact they professionalize their offensive line, they get Drew Dahlman, they get Joe Tooney, they get the best head coaching candidate on the market in Ben Johnson. This looks to be the makings of a 9-win, 10-win team at least. And then going forward, if Caleb Williams is actually solved as a quarterback prospect, that could be even more special going forward. I'm picking the Packers to win this division. Again, professionalizing. I was looking at some of the stats yesterday, and I could not believe how many mistakes they made last year in Green Bay. Jordan Love, I feel, was hurt last year for most of the time, but they had 3 receivers, who were in the top 5 in the league in drop percentage. That's unbelievable. They will get better with Matthew Golden here. It's going to be an awesome division. Packers win it.
All right, Sam.
And to your point with the Green Bay, to the Green Bay Packers, they were the 3rd best team in the division last year. And the Green Bay is going to win a minimum 10 games. Like, that's a guarantee, pretty much, especially Jordan Love being healthy with the receivers that they drafted. So the 3rd best team in your division last year is going to improve. We talked about Minnesota potentially regressing because we don't know what's going to be a quarterback. But we also have the Minnesota Vikings. They may not know a quarterback, but they know who they have at head coach, Kevin O'Connell, who was the AP Coach of the Year. And so you have a Coach of the Year, a.k.a. quarterback whisperer, who's probably going to whisper into his quarterbacks here, J.J. McCarthy, to help the Minnesota Vikings stay above the waters. And then lastly, we talked about the Chicago Bears. I understand that there are question marks at quarterback, but defensively they've improved. The offensive line has improved. And so for me, I think that when it comes to competitiveness, like which division is most competitive, I think it's got to be the NFC North.
So I would say this also. When you look at the Los Angeles Chargers, there weren't a lot of people that thought they were going to make the playoffs last year.
Nope.
There weren't a lot of people that thought the Denver Broncos was going to make it. The Chargers made the playoffs with Ladd McConkey being the only receiver that was competent to making plays in the receiver room. Now, they've only gotten better. They said, you know what? We're going to go get an offensive lineman from the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to get Najee Harris. We'll draft a Marion Hampton. So that's why I'm rocking with the AFC West, baby.
Okay, well, we will soon find out as the NFL season is rapidly approaching. But first, we got training camps and all that fun stuff. All right.